Bostonian versus the book.
That was Aaron Rodgers' thing. It's your quarterback in the first round.
Yeah.
It's a luxury pick. We don't have the luxury. We're trying to win right now. I'm in a window right now, and you're going to say, no, we're going to plan this for the future. With a guy who had 4 years, 4 seasons ended by injury. 4. Like, Michael Penix is a walking injury. Like, what are you doing taking him in the top 10?
The Bostonian versus the book.
And now you have to qualify in these majors. You got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness. And I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships.
Mm-hmm.
So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome in Game Time Decisions here on this Wednesday in the Sports Grid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. We appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with us as we get ready. Of course, holiday tomorrow, 4th of July. A lot of celebrating going to happen. Also, a ton of Major League Baseball. We have no early games here today, which means we got a full card tonight on tap. Why? Well, we're going to have a few day games tomorrow. So no doubt while you're getting ready to barbecue and hang out with friends and family, there will be a game or two on right through tomorrow night. So Major League Baseball is going to be our focus here today with a loaded card here. And it's going to kick off here in just about 25 minutes or so as the Red Sox will look to make it 2 in a row against the Marlins coming up this hour, and the Guardians with taking on Eric Fedde and Washington and the White Sox rather, who had maybe one of the most white flag give up losses I have seen in Major League Baseball in a very, very long time there yesterday when Kopech came into the game, threw the ball 32 feet, right, just way before, about halfway between home plate and the pitcher's mound. He somehow managed to throw the ball directly into the ground, and nobody could catch it, of course, putting the go-ahead run at third base, and a shallow fly ball and absolutely no throw from the center fielder, who pretty much just gave up on the entire situation and figured, yeah, it's not even worth trying to get this guy out. And they walked it off. And my goodness, the White Sox are going quickly from bad to worse. Just when you thought they might have turned a quarter. It is never good in early July to watch teams and to watch players pretty much mail it in. Unreal. And also, again, Williams on the mound for the Guardians, so he is off the IL. That's great news for the Guardians, who are quietly now very much in this thing. So this is a game I am going to be keeping an eye on here tonight with you because I want to see what Williams brings to the table. He hasn't pitched in a while, just off the IL. But boy, oh boy, that'll be great news for the Guardians if they can keep him healthy the rest of the way through. You are also going to have in the 6 o'clock hour coming up the Cardinals and the Pirates. Miles Mikolas taking on Jones here, and the Cardinals and Pirates, no doubt, at PNC. Should be interesting. Mikolas coming off a rough outing last time out, but he has been nothing short of phenomenal for the Cardinals here. Really, he's always been a slow starter to when the season starts, but he usually ramps it up right around May and June into the summertime, and they're going to need him if they are going to right this ship here, the Cardinals, and actually make a run at the Brewers at the top of the National League Central. The Mets also looking to make, I don't know, it would be great if the Mets could take what they do in the 10th inning and kind of do that during the game. I think a lot of Met fans and Met bettors would be much happier instead of having to wait for them to get to extra innings and then go ahead and score. Combined now in the last couple of days here in the 10th inning, the Mets have now scored 11 runs. Why they don't score them before extra innings is a little head-scratching, but Parker going on for the Nats, who are trying very much to win at least one game against the Mets. They have not beaten them yet this season, and the Nats would very much, with Parker on the mound, would love to get one back here at home. And they are a home dog, which also makes it interesting. Don't even get me started about the Reds and Yankees. That is coming up at the 7 o'clock hour, but no doubt Carlos Rodon has been much better at Yankee Stadium than he's been on the road. However, it has been a rough last couple of weeks here for Carlos Rodon and the Yankees. Abbott is going to go for the Reds here tonight. 8.5 is that total, hovering around pretty much what it was yesterday, and the Yankees were able to get that one to go up and over with an Aaron Judge solo home run late in that matchup. But 8.5 is what we're getting here tonight. And I think we can all say, listen, if we get the Carlos Rodon of the early part of the season at Yankee Stadium, the Reds don't stand a chance. If we don't get that version and we get the version of what we've seen over the last 2 to 3 weeks, the Reds are going to laugh their way to victory here tonight. So big spot for the Yankees to get one back in a bounce-back effort against the Cincinnati Reds here. And then, of course, we'll have Astros, Blue Jays, and the Astros looking to bounce back after Toronto finally ended up winning a game there. I think that one has got overwritten all over it, but when you've got Blanco on the mound, and don't forget, Blanco was the guy that actually no-hit Toronto early in the season, and I'm sure Toronto remembers that. Blanco coming off a pretty rough outing also against the Mets, so he would like to get back on track here against his Toronto team, and he certainly seems very well prepared for this lineup. Didn't have a problem shutting him out and no-hitting him the last time out early in the season. We'll see how he goes tonight. We also learned today that we are going to be getting, more LeBron James in L.A. I don't know if you guys heard this, but LeBron has, in fact, signed an extension, which is fantastic. This coming off the heels of LeBron's son, Bronny, as a 55th draft pick there in this year's draft, signing somehow a guaranteed 4-year contract that's going to net them, it's going to net the kids somewhere around $80 million. Kind of hard to believe when you think about it. How many 55th pick in the NBA draft have we ever seen get guaranteed money and contracts for 4 years on teams? I bet we would have a hard time finding one. Mostly guys that are drafted after the 50th pick in the NBA are lucky to get a ham sandwich and a uniform and then are shipped off to the G League. But not Bronny. Nope, not Bronny. And now Dad, well, he's going to go ahead and he's going to be around for at least another couple of years with a player option, as well as they locked him up. And you've got to scratch your head and go with this Lakers team. And Rob Pelinka and company here. Jeannie Buss, what are you doing at this point? You basically given the entire franchise and the reins over to a player, an aging player at that. And although one of the greatest, I don't know what the hell that has to do with burying your franchise for the next decade or so, because these moves are suspicious at the least. But that's what they got. And their new head coach, by the way, JJ Redick, the podcast partner of LeBron. You see where we're going with this? Yeah, he too is new on the scene in LA. So not only did they sign a 55th draft pick to a unbelievable $80 million 4-year guaranteed deal, we also now have a brand new head coach who's never been affiliated with the Lakers, has never been on the sideline, but he is apparently bringing on some guys that have some knowledge. Some former head coaches are going to be on the sideline for him now, which is great. But I did also read here today that they had to make a few phone calls. It wasn't that guys were running to sign up and be bench coaches and assistants under JJ Redick, first-time head coach, which is Dwayne Casey comes to mind. And I believe ESPN promoted the fact that Dwayne Casey pretty much hung up the phone and was like, yeah, no, I'm good. No, thanks. I'll wait for another opportunity. And I think that's going to be a theme with the Lakers moving forward. We'll have more on that when Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You went to Alberta and came back with a lot of different stories. I know that sports betting as a possibility, just like Ontario in 2022, we could see that.
The other big topic was Alberta, because sure enough, we've heard lots, and we've talked about it on here, that a law was passed to allow the market to open up. And we were kind of waiting to see what was going to happen.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading like 150 to 5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds. Where do I sign? I love this cricket stuff. What, are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions. Breaking news, Patrick Ewing now signed with the... No, I'm only kidding here. Happy Wednesday to you. We've got plenty of Major League Baseball. Let me actually just clarify from last segment here. It was $8 million for Bronny, not $80 million. The $80 million was tied to the number that they offered Klay Thompson to come and be a Laker. And Klay Thompson's like, yeah, no, I'll take less money and I'll go to the Dallas Mavericks. So there seem to be a number of people, both in the coaching ranks and the player ranks, that want nothing to do with the Los Angeles Lakers. And this drama will continue, no doubt, over the summer until we get ready, of course, to get a little bit closer to the season starting in September, October, and November. Should be an awful lot of fun. There is no better drama than what the Lakers dish up for us. But in the meantime, we got plenty of Major League Baseball games getting ready to kick off here as we welcome in our good friend George Kurtz, no doubt getting ready to spice up that chalk of his and maybe mix in a dog or two here tonight. Never going to happen, but no better favorite and chalk to look at than anybody playing the Marlins here, Kurtz. And it looks like the Red Sox will have an opportunity to get another one from them here in about 10 minutes or so. Are you buying the Red Sox with Bello on the mound against the old fade Trevor Rogers here?
Yeah, I'm going with the Red Sox tonight. It hurts as a Yankee fan to say that, but you said it, Bello versus Trevor Rogers. Rogers has not been, the Miami team has not been good. So it's not like we're breaking any news here. But I think Boston, they won 8-3 last night, I believe. I think we're going to see another similar score tonight, although I'm not taking the over, not yet anyway. A little minus 122 is a little juice for me at 7.5, although I do like that as well. So give me the Sox. And I imagine by the time what time is that game? 6:40? 25 minutes.
Yes.
I imagine by the time it starts, I'll probably be on the over as well.
So we had, it was funny watching that game last night with the White Sox and the Guardians. White Sox come back, Guardians come back and tie it. We're in July, Gertz, and I'm watching a center fielder not throw the ball on a shallow tag up to end the game, and it just looked like that is not a good sign if you are the White Sox. It looks like half that team is already packed it in, and we're not even into August, which is a shame. But they do have the one guy that has been worth betting. That's Fetty on the mound here tonight. And I believe Williams finally his first start off the IL for the Guardians. This would be great news for the Guardians if he can stay healthy here and get himself ready for a playoff push. But are you leaning one way or the other in this one?
Well, we're always leaning with the Guardians, anybody over the White Sox, right? I do think it's going to be a lower scoring game. Now, Williams is somewhat of a wild card, right? Because maybe he only goes 4 or 5 innings in his first start. But do we really mind that? Cleveland's bullpen's good. I'm not worried about that at all. If Williams doesn't, if he only throws 4 to 5 innings here, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll keep the Sox in check. So I have no problem. You want to take Cleveland as well here, but I'm going on the under in this game. It's 8.5. I don't think we're going to see a ton of runs scored here. I think Williams will be good. He'll certainly be better than what Tristan McKenzie was, right? That's who he replaced the rotation. They sent him down there. So, and you said it, by the way, if Williams cannot beat that pitcher he was last year, now I wouldn't call him an ace, but he was a good 2-3 guy. Just more ammunition for the Guardians here. So, yeah, give me the under in this game. I like Cleveland as well, but I didn't bet it.
Yeah, no, it's kind of hard. I mean, that told you everything last night, what you need to know about the state of the Chicago White Sox right now. That was ugly on so many levels there. We do have game 2 also and a nice set coming up between Pittsburgh and St. Louis, a little National League Central rivalry here. Mikolas on the mound got lit up last time out. I mean, there was just no way around it. I think it was, 10 runs he gave up, 12 hits, 4 1/3 innings. It was an 11-4 loss against Cincinnati. It wasn't good here, but he's been fairly steady prior to that. So does he bounce back here with the Cards tonight against Pittsburgh?
To a degree, I think he does bounce back. It's another game. It's hard for me to take unders here, but I'm going under again. St. Louis and Pittsburgh both play to the under. They don't score a lot of runs. So I think it's going to be that way once again here. I don't think Mikolas is going to pitch great. He's not going to go 9-inning complete game or anything like that, but he won't get shellacked either. Pittsburgh kind of an offense here. So it's another game, back-to-back games. I'm taking the under on the early slate.
Yeah, I mean, I like Jared Jones. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's still young there, but this feels like a pretty important series for the Cardinals if we're going to take them seriously heading into the All-Star break. I think they need to keep winning here over the next week, Kurtz, and then somebody's got to chase Milwaukee because otherwise they're just going to be handing the division to them, and that's a head-scratcher. Does the Nationals finally bounce back with Parker on the mound against the Mets? They can't seem to beat the Mets. and the Mets only seem to score in the 10th inning. Something's got to give here with the Nats. What are we doing with them, Kurtz?
I mean, Parker versus Scott. I mean, I kind of like Christian Scott, right? He was a rookie called up, pitched pretty well, was sent back down for a couple of reasons. Not really for a poor performance, more because of roster manipulation there, and they weren't going to really need a fifth starter all that much. He's back. I assume he'll pitch well. All right, so I'm going to take the Mets again. You said the Nats don't seem to be able to beat the Mets for whatever reason. Mets are finding ways to win, especially against lesser teams, right? The bullpen is still an issue. Got a little bit of a break last night. They'll hope to get it again tonight. I am not. This is going to be another one where I'm going to go in game as far as whether I'm going to go hit that over again. But last night we didn't get. I got what I wanted. The first couple of innings were pretty much scoreless here, so the over/under came down, but we still didn't get our over. We missed by a couple of runs there. So I'm probably going to go back to that well tonight. Hope the first couple of innings are 1 run, 2 run. We get a better number on the over. Maybe get it down to 8 and then hit it, assuming the bullpens will get crushed once again.
Yeah, game number 3 here of a 4-game set. Mets trying to win this one tonight and take the series. They did call him up, I believe, from AAA Syracuse to throw some pitches here. I mean, that bullpen has been going through it. They've been asked a lot here. No Diaz. Is he back by the weekend, by the way? How long was his suspension for? Had to be, what, 10 games?
It was 10, so it's 2, 5, 7. I think he's back this weekend. I think it's back
he's back this weekend.
Right, he's out today, tomorrow, and he should be back Saturday, I believe.
Saturday. I think he'll be back there, minus the sticky stuff there, of course. But, those arms have been getting work there in the bullpen, so they call him up. Let's see what he's got here tonight. We got plenty more games on tap we'll take a look at as Game Time Decisions continues here on the grid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You went to Alberta and came back with a lot of different stories. I know that sports betting as a possibility, just like Ontario in 2022, we could see that.
The other big topic was Alberta, because sure enough, we've heard lots, and we've talked about it on here, that a law was passed to allow the market to open up. And we were kind of waiting to see what was going to happen.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading like 150 to 5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds. Where do I sign? I love this cricket stuff. What are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. Joe Raineri alongside George Kurtz, as we've got plenty of Major League Baseball coming up. All night games here today, George. A little different on a Wednesday. We usually have a whole bunch of getaway games, but we'll have plenty of afternoon baseball tomorrow on the 4th of July. Great card, and a great card here tonight. We'll start with the 7 o'clock hour. And them Yankees, Gertz, the Yankees lost last night again, 5-4. They tried. They made a good run at it, but De La Cruz just absolutely smacked them last night. I don't know what you can do with this guy, by the way. It just feels like if you let him on first, he's going to be on third, and that's just the way it's going to be. I saw him run around the bases and got that triple last night, George. I was like, wait a minute. He was just at first base. How did he end up on third base? The kid is a phenom, and I don't know. What Rodon do we get tonight here? Because I think that tells us how we're playing this game.
Well, I think that's not the only thing that tells us how we're playing this game, but you're right. Rodon has been a train wreck lately, right? He's gotten absolutely wrecked at least his last 3 starts, maybe his last 4 starts. I don't know if that's going to change tonight. I don't see any reason why it would. But then again, I don't know why this started all of a sudden. He's been saying that his fastball is getting lit up. I guess it's not moving. So I'm assuming he will throw secondary pitches more tonight. Try people get the batters off that fastball, but he's got to throw them for strikes. If he's not throwing for strikes, it don't matter. They'll just wait for the fastball here. Also, the problem with the Yankees is there's a left-hander on the mound tonight for Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And have it. Yankees don't hit left-handers. Now, their record against left-handers is very poor this year. So, other than the fact that they're at home and the Reds aren't the greatest team, I don't really have any reason to take the Yankees tonight. I'm on the Reds. Rodon's been terrible, and the Yankees don't hit left-handers. It seems to be a recipe for the Reds to win the first 2 games of the series tonight, which does hurt. But give me the Reds in a higher scoring game. I do think we'll get some runs tonight, though. I'll take that over 8.5.
Yeah, I like the over last night too, and I was like, the Yankees are just they're gonna screw us here because they're not gonna be able to get enough runs. It was 5-0 before you even blinked, and the Yankees finally, with Judge, who hit his 32nd homer, had 3 hits. I think he's hitting 320 now, 321, something along those lines. Thank goodness for him, because nobody. Yeah, what was Soto and I believe Soto, Volpe, and Verdugo a crisp 0 for 11 last night. That was sweet. But they still got the over anyway. How many home runs does he hit, by the way? He's got 32 now.
32.
Does he 32. Make an? So where does he land, you think, this year?
I think he sets the record again. I think as long as he stays
really?
Healthy, yeah. He's well on pace. Remember, he took April off. He didn't do anything in April.
That's a good, yeah.
Right? It's been May and June where he's been colossal here. I think the only way he doesn't reset the record is A, if he gets hurt, obviously, and B, if teams go to first. Why
they won't pitch to him?
Is beyond me. And you already made the joke about Verdugo, Torres, J.D. Davis. Nobody can hit behind him. Yep. Why is anybody pitching to him? Why? I don't understand it.
It's amazing.
I just don't get it. That'd be the only way I think he doesn't set the record, Joe. Right now, if you're looking at him on pace, for a full season, he's on pace for 60. Compared to his pace in 22, he's on pace to hit 62, 63 again. So it depends on which way you want to go here. But I just remember he took April off. And if you count what he's done in May and June, he's gonna crush this record.
Yeah, I love that he's going to break it. And I think you're right. The big question is, how many games, and they may very well have to the games late in the season when push comes to shove, they might not have a choice. They might be playing for their playoff lives here at this point, George, which is kind of crazy to think. Another MVP, would he be worth banking for you? MVP already at this? Got to be the MVP in the first half, no?
I think he is, although Henderson and Witt are really good players. I mean, they're right there. But if he hits 60 again, no American League player has ever done that. He doesn't need to set the record. If he just hits 60, he'll get it, right? Because he's setting a record that just is not done. If he hits 58 and Henderson and Witt keep playing like they are, sure, I can see him not getting the MVP. Because Henderson's having a magnificent season. If he keeps it up, absolutely. Witt. And if Witt gets Kansas City to the playoffs, by the way, that would be a big thing as well. But right now, I would put it as Judge, Henderson, Witt.
It's like, to me, I don't even think it's if he hits 320 and hits 50, 60 home runs, like what else has he got? It's going to be. Yes, that's a very good point. And if that happens, forget about it. Just carve the name, call it after him. Exactly. Won't make a difference anywhere. All right, George Kurtz, as always here, my man. Plenty of baseball over the next couple of days here. Have a happy and safe 4th of July. Don't blow anything up on that patio of yours. Game Time Decisions will continue next here on the grid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You went to Alberta and came back with a lot of different stories. I know that sports betting as a possibility, just like Ontario in 2022, we could see that.
The other big topic was Alberta, because sure enough, we've heard lots and we've talked about it on here that a law was passed to allow the market to open up, and we were kind of waiting to see what was going to happen.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading like 150 to 5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds. Where do I sign? I love this cricket stuff. What, are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you stopping by. We welcome in our good friend Sam Chattery joining us here from FTN. And Sam, you're a basketball guy, and I got some thoughts on the NBA free agency period here. They have done a really good job of becoming a 12-month out of the year headline, and kudos to them, because usually the NBA, out of sight, out of mind, but not these last couple of years. We learned today LeBron did sign an extension, right? Couple of more years. His kid gets a guaranteed $8 million over 4 years. I don't know how that happens either. But I thought the coaching hires today were interesting as well. I also thought Dwayne Casey turning down the opportunity to be on that bench also says a lot. What do you see happening here? Because this feels like this could be absolutely off the rails by the time we get to the end of December.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's really just what we've seen with LeBron since he's joined LA. It's really just him calling the shots. He got JJ Redick, and you hear all this stuff about, JJ, LeBron, they had no ties in the hiring. They didn't know it was going down. But these guys are doing a podcast together, and I'm not against JJ, of course, obviously, he's never coached in the NBA, it's whatever. We know these teams with LeBron. I'm from Ohio, so, I've been associated with LeBron for a while, even with Cleveland. When you have LeBron, it's him as a GM, it's him as a coach. We can put the names on, we can have a scapegoat or whatever, which I don't know. I don't know if JJ Redick is going to be that scapegoat, but it's just how it is with LeBron. And I'm sure we all saw the extension coming even before they drafted his kid, but it'll be interesting. In the West, it's always been tough, but it's already gotten a lot tougher early in the off season. So we'll see. I mean, does LeBron still have it is a question. I don't know how much changes from last year with just, swapping in JJ Redick, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, don't forget, Hurley turned him down. Casey's turned him down. Klay Thompson could have got $80 million, and he's like, nope, I'll take less money and go to Dallas. I'm good to go there. So it's going to be fascinating to see how this unfolds. But it's crazy when you think about it. The new collective bargaining, it's changed the game, and we're seeing that. It feels like every real contender got better in the West during this free agency period, except Denver. Am I crazy? I mean, you lose KCP. How did they get better, if at all, do you think?
No, not at all. Unless I missed something, that's all it was. They just got rid of KCP and really haven't added anything much to that team. And we just saw them get bounced by Minnesota. Minnesota hasn't really made any drastic changes to their roster as well. But, the team that really stands out to me, and it's baked into their price, we saw them move up. But OKC, I really love what OKC is doing. And I think they're still going to make a huge splash. They have the most cap in free agency. And, just adding a guy like Isaiah Hartenstein, I think that's going to be huge just to go along with Chet. And, this team, we saw the potential. I know it was disappointing what happened with the series in Dallas, but I personally still think OKC is a much better team than Dallas. I think they're going to be rejuvenated this offseason, let alone swapping out Giddey, who was a complete non-factor in the postseason. They just couldn't play him in the postseason just because he was such a liability on defense. What better guy can you have than slotting in Alex Caruso? I really don't understand how this organization pulls off some of these deals. Josh Giddey for Caruso, straight up, no picks attached. That was just an incredible move by OKC. It's a young team. We expect this team, regardless of the assets they add, just to improve season after season. I think Shea's going to continue to get better. I think he's going to continue to be in that MVP race. So, OKC, I just want to buy all the stock in OKC. We did see their odds move a little bit. I'd say somewhat significantly just for adding Caruso and Hartenstein, but for good reason. I still think it's a price that's worth buying into it because, like I said, I think they still do have room to make a big splash. And I think they're just going to go all in this upcoming season.
Well, speaking of Ohio there, Sam, Cleveland signs Mitchell, and nobody really knew that was going to happen. Was this just a pit stop for him? But now all of a sudden, the Cavs, they got their centerpiece. Does Garland stay? Are they going to be what? We got a new head coach, right? And Kenny Atkinson. Is this team going to take that next step, you think?
I was somewhat optimistic sort of last year, mid-season, but it's just really tough to see. You look at it, you can almost break it up into tiers. I would say Boston is probably just in the tier A all by themselves. I would say the Philly, Knicks, Milwaukee, it's tough. I almost want to put Philly in sort of in their own tier, and then the Knicks and the Bucks in a tier below that. And then that's after those teams are off the board, that's when you can really consider Cleveland. So as much as I do like this team, I love watching Cleveland games. It's just such a fun team to root for. Just with Garland was pretty disappointing. Yeah, I am happy that Mitchell did get locked up. It was sort of an interesting storyline, I feel like, that just sort of popped up. I thought mid-season it was sort of assumed that Mitchell was just going to re-sign an extension and stay in Cleveland. But then you got all these rumors that do they want to keep Garland and let Mitchell walk? Do they want to keep Mitchell? But I think for the most part, they're just going to roll it as is this upcoming season. I think we've seen Mitchell and Garland back in there. But like I said, I think I want to put all those teams as clear tiers ahead of Cleveland, and that's when you can really start considering them. So as much as I do like them, I don't think they're going to be much better than just a middle of the pack playoff team in the East, maybe a first round exit. It hurts to say, but the East just looks loaded this season.
Well, I think it was only Boston last year, right? And then everyone in the East was either hurt. They were the only one that stayed healthy in the East, really. So that's ultimately what happened to them at the end. But now it feels like now that the West has been loading up and you go down the list, you mentioned it, there is going to be three very top heavy in the West. And now all of a sudden you said Philadelphia just under Boston here. So you think Paul George really, he's that kind of difference maker for this team?
Yeah, I mean, I thought throughout most of the season, I really thought it was, again, Boston was just sort of in a tier of their own. I did think that Philly played well enough that I thought if they got into a series that maybe they could push it to a 6 to 7 game series. And really, that's all they were missing was just that third elite scorer. We saw sort of with Harden, it didn't really work. That's just how it's been throughout Harden's career. It's just the chemistry, it's always kind of off, especially in the playoffs. But now you got a guy like Maxey. I think we'll see Maxey's production go down definitely, but I think just to compliment Maxey, and I think Embiid is still going to get his. I mean, remember before Embiid went down, he was clearing away the MVP favorite. I mean, there was no one in the NBA playing at Joel Embiid's level. That's really all it is. I think if this team stays healthy, they can definitely compete with Boston in the East. That's why I really just want to put them in a tier in their own. Because I think Paul George is just a perfect third option. Because like I said, it didn't really work out with Harden, but PG isn't someone that really needs to be ball dominant. I mean, he played great playing alongside Kawhi Leonard and James Harden, are two really ball dominant guys. You can still let Tyrese Maxey control the offense. Like I said, I think Joel Embiid still gets his in the paint, but just having PG, someone else to open up the floor. I mean, who was their third scorer last year? I mean, I guess you want to say Kelly Oubre. Like, it's not going to be a championship team when you have a guy like Kelly Oubre as your third option. So I think PG is just a perfect complementary piece. Again, like I said, he doesn't have to be ball dominant. Just space has enough space on the court. Just have Joel Embiid open the paint, Tyrese Maxey still get his and run the offense. So I'm really into Philly for sure.
I, for one, was shocked they didn't win with Tobias Harris as their third scorer. I don't understand what went wrong there, Sam. Absolutely shocking on so many levels there. But hey, the NBA never sleeps, and we appreciate you taking the time to talk some NBA free agency. Enjoy your 4th of July, Sam. We appreciate the time. Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You went to Alberta and came back with a lot of different stories. I know that sports betting as a possibility, just like Ontario in 2022, we could see that.
The other big topic was Alberta, because sure enough, we've heard lots, and we've talked about it on here, that a law was passed to allow the market to open up. And we were kind of waiting to see what was going to happen.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading like 150 to 5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds. Where do I sign? I love this cricket stuff. What are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri, and we are off and running here as the first wave of games in Major League Baseball here tonight are there. Right now, the Marlins and the Red Sox, top of the first. We've got a 0-0 score in this one. Really did like the over in this one here as the Red Sox routed the Marlins last night 8-3. And when you look at these two pitchers going at it here tonight, Miami sending the lefty Trevor Rogers there, who is, I'll give him credit. He had become one of those automatic fade pitchers in baseball, much like Patrick Corbin has been over the last couple of seasons, where when you see his name in the box score, you're like, oh boy, look, we got to figure out a way to be able to fade them. He's been actually pretty consistent over the last 4 starts. But having said that, how sustainable is that? And the answer is, I don't think very much. And I can tell you, Boston's, Bello, not very good either. I mean, he had a couple of outings here in June. I believe the last 3 outings that he had in June. Granted, they were all against American League East teams that can usually hit the ball, and the Marlins lineup is not that. But this had absolutely no issue getting over 8 last night. I don't think we're going to have an issue getting over with these two pitchers here tonight. I do think the Marlins will have some success against Bello and have an opportunity to put some runs on. And quite honestly, how many runs do we really need to be able to get from them? And the answer is probably not a whole lot. And I'll tell you this, too, when it comes to the Marlins, keep this in mind. The Marlins at home are on a quiet 29-14 clip to the over. So they may not be hitting the ball all that well, but the teams that they play certainly don't have an issue going up and over. And I think that's probably not a bad way to look at this game. Provided you don't get any runs in this first inning, I would certainly look to see if you can't get yourself a 7.5 or maybe even a 7 when it's all said and done, as this game is heading to the bottom of the first. You got to love in-game betting there like that. We do have also we talked about it earlier with Fetty on the mound for the White Sox, taking on the Guardians. Gavin Williams back for the Guardians in his first appearance this year, which has got to be good news for them. They've got to be ecstatic to be able to get another arm in that rotation, and they are going to need it. They've got a lights-out bullpen. They've got some great hitting, but more importantly, they have a lock. They got some questions there. You can't be rolling Carrasco out every 4 or 5 days and think that's going to work out well. But this would be a great addition to them. Not to mention, I do think they will be active at the trade deadline here, July 30th. So what are we now, 27 days away? So we've got a few more weeks here before it's put up or shut up time for some of these teams in Major League Baseball to make a decision about, are they pushing their chips in or are they not? Teams like Baltimore, teams like Seattle, teams like the Guardians, the Texas Rangers, they certainly last year pushed all in when it came to the trade deadline. And pretty much over the last couple of years, that new ownership group has pretty much said, we're going to write the checks and we're going to hope that this all works out in the end. And you can make the argument that, yeah, that was a lot of money, even though a lot of that money went to two guys that weren't a part of anything last year for them in DeGrom there and Scherzer when it mattered the most. But they invested, they spent money, they got it done. Teams like Baltimore and Seattle over the last couple of years at the trade deadline, when they were clearly an opportunity for them to get the team better, and as long as the front office and ownership wanted to invest, and both Baltimore and Seattle are notorious for going, nah, we're good. We think we have the best team. And well, we're going to see what happens here, because I do think there is going to be an opportunity for a number of teams coming up here at the end of the month. They are underway. Cardinals and the Pirates in this one here tonight, with the Cardinals trying to make up some of the difference here. They have just been terrible to start the year, and it didn't make any sense given the amount of firepower they have in that lineup and the idea that they were only hitting 211 as a team for a very long stretch. The idea that they couldn't score enough run, and yet they were still getting some decent pitching. And I can tell you this about Cardinal fans. They are not used to being as mediocre as it comes, and that's pretty much what they are right now. At 44-40, the Cardinals are about as mediocre as they've been in a very long time. And guess what? When the Pirates here are just a couple of games separating you, that's a pretty scary proposition if you are the Cardinals organization. However, they certainly have an opportunity, I think, in a very winnable division coming up here in the National League Central to make a run. I think this game tonight, I think this series this weekend is very important, and I think they need to get a bunch of wins here before the All-Star break next week and give themselves a chance in the second half to catch the Milwaukee Brewers. I think the Mets are also learning a little something about themselves here. And what is Cohen going to do? What is the ownership group going to do here with the New York Mets now? It seemed a month ago, before we got to June, the Mets were going to be clear sellers. It was fire sale, push the button, restart it. And yet, now all of a sudden, the way they're playing, the way they're hitting, they've gotten themselves one game over 500. They are clearly mediocre enough to be considered a wild card threat. So what are the Mets going to do? Well, they got to win again tonight. They're off and running in Washington. It's 0-0 in that one. We're going to keep you posted on all of these early games, and we'll get you updated here as Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You went to Alberta and came back with a lot of different stories. I know that sports betting as a possibility, just like Ontario in 2022, we could see that.
The other big topic was Alberta, because sure enough, we've heard lots, and we've talked about it on here, that a law was passed to allow the market to open up, and we were kind of waiting to see what was going to happen.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading like 150 to 5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds? Where do I sign? I love this cricket stuff. What are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on this Wednesday now, July 3rd. Certainly want to wish you and yours a very happy and safe 4th of July, as there's a lot going on this time of year. We're just coming out of a crazy NBA last couple of days here in free agency. There are a lot of fans around this country looking to buy new jerseys with new names on them, or maybe burn some of their favorite players who are no longer with the team. And there are a whole lot of big names that are switching uniforms here. It's going to be a little weird, call me crazy, to see some of these guys in different uniforms coming up. Klay Thompson in a Mavericks jersey is a little bit weird, if you ask me. Paul George, it feels like this is his 9th team anyway, so that shouldn't shock anybody. But we still don't know where DeMar DeRozan is going to land. We still don't know where Lauri Markkanen is going to land here. So we've got a lot still up in the air in the NBA. But before all of that craziness, we also have Wimbledon going on right now. And we watched last year as Carlos Alcaraz won his 2nd title at the All England Club. And of course, in doing that, he denied Novak there at a shot at a possible Grand Slam and an 8th Wimbledon title that would have tied him with Roger Federer. So you've got Skinner up at the top here of the board for odds as far as being the favorite, but you got Alcaraz there right underneath that, very chalky and top-heavy. You got Novak right in there at plus 250, and it just feels like this is those 3 guys at the top of the board are going to be battling one another over the next couple of weeks until they crown a champion. Although Novak had himself maybe the best of the draw, because it looks like Alcaraz and Skinner are going to have to, they're coming out of the same side of the bracket. So Novak could very well be in contention to get an 8th Wimbledon title, which would tie him with Roger Federer for the most men's, women Wimbledon titles of all time, which is kind of crazy when you think of that. On the women's side, of course, Coco Gauff seems to be everybody's favorite here, although she is certainly going to have, I think, some competition here. Last year's winner was already bounced, in fact, the underdog. I'm not even going to try to pronounce her name, but she was already bounced out here. But Coco Gauff is at the top of everyone's list. It's a little chalky, but certainly she has all the tools and is at a point in her career where maybe now might be the time to get it done. So you've got Wimbledon going on. We've got a PGA Tour event. And everyone loves the John Deere Classic. And that is coming up also beginning tomorrow. And we are going to talk to our good friend Brady Cannon coming up next hour here and get his thoughts on who he thinks we should be looking at the top of that leaderboard here. 156 golfers to choose from this week at the TPC Deere Run. This could also be one of those tournaments in which maybe a 40, 50, 60 to 1 shot could very well cash that ticket, which would be an awful lot of fun. And then, of course, you've got plenty of Major League Baseball heading into this weekend, and we've got a couple of scores already. That didn't take long. The White Sox out in front already on the Guardians, 1-0 in that one. And we just watched, I believe, the Red Sox and Bello give up a run here in the bottom of the first. They are down 1-0. The Marlins already have 3 hits. So all of that happening there in the bottom of the first inning off of Bello, which I just don't trust. I really do like that over in that game. Trevor Rogers on the mound, he in the top of the second. He went 1-2-3 in the top of the first. So we'll see if the Red Sox bats can finally get it going there. Pirates and the Cardinals, 0-0 top of the second. And of course, we've got the Mets and the Nationals. They too are underway at the end of one. So no score, no hits, no nothing in that one. And coming up here in just a couple of minutes, we've got another hour of Game Time Decisions, and we've got first pitch coming with the Reds and the Yankees. Also, the Astros and the Blue Jays are going at it. We'll talk about those games when we get back. Another hour of Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You went to Alberta and came back with a lot of different stories. I know that sports betting as a possibility, just like Ontario in 2022, we could see that.
The other big topic was Alberta, because sure enough, we've heard lots, and we've talked about it on here, that a law was passed to allow the market to open up. And we were kind of waiting to see what was going to happen.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading like 150 to 5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds? Where do I sign? I love this cricket stuff. What are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in, off and running another hour here of Game Time Decisions on the Sports Grid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you stopping by, as we've got plenty of night baseball here tonight. No day games as we get ready for a big 4th of July. And, of course, we'll have plenty of day games tomorrow. Actually, a smattering of games all throughout the day, including some pretty good ones tomorrow night as the fireworks will be going off. And no doubt, Joe Madden knows a little something about that, as you got to be excited about a full card of games here tonight, Joe. We got loaded card tomorrow heading into the last big weekend, of course, before the All-Star break. And let's talk about this Yankees and Reds game getting ready to get underway here at Yankee Stadium with Rodon on the mound. I have no idea which version of him is going to show up here tonight, so point us in the right direction. What are we doing in this game?
Well, that's the problem, Joe. You look at Carlos Rodon coming out here, and we really don't know what we're going to get out of him. Over his last 3 starts, he's been completely lit up. But the Cincinnati Reds are starting Andrew Abbott, and I do think he has the ability to hold down the lineup of the New York Yankees. Now, this is a hard thing to ask, though, because we know how strong Aaron Judge has been able to be out there. But I do have faith in the Cincinnati Reds with the pitching edge in this one, as well as the edge on the bullpen. I really do think they have every ability to get the win in this game. I'm going to look at the first 5, though. I think Carlos Rodon gets lit up by the Reds in the first 5, and then I can't take Soto and Aaron Judge out of the equation to be able to pull this one back into a win for the Yankees. So I'm going to take the Reds in the first 5. That's coming in at plus 138. straight up on that money line. And I'm going to look at LA De La Cruz. I think he has every ability to hit Rodon hard in this one. I'm going to take him for the home run. That's coming in at plus 480. I love the value. If you just want to look at the RBI, you can hit him for the RBI at plus 185. But I do think with how weak Rodon has been in his last three, that ERA is over 13. I just think someone like LA De La Cruz should be able to get the home run off him today, Joe, in this one.
Yeah, no, I mean, I want to bet the Yankees. I want to believe in the Yankees, but the regression train was going to hit for Rodon, and it's hit. And I don't know that it's done going off the rails just yet here. But that game is coming up in just a couple of minutes here, Joe. And the same with your Toronto Blue Jays. And looky here, Toronto almost blew another game last night against Houston. I give Houston credit. They were down big in that game, and they fought their way back, but they came up short. What do we get in this one here tonight?
I don't think they come up short in this one, especially with Kikuchi getting the start here for the Toronto Blue Jays. This is just too much for Toronto to be able to get another one over the Astros here. I think the Astros come into this one hungry. You look at Kikuchi at home, it hasn't been pretty, as well as his last three starts haven't been pretty either. It's like we've got so many pitchers out there starting today, Joe, that really have been lit up as of late, and Kikuchi really is one of them. Looking at the Astros team total, I do think they can go over their team total of 4.5 runs. That's coming in at plus 108. So a little bit of plus money in this one. And then looking at Alvarez is so strong at getting those home runs on the board. And I do think he'll hit off of Kikuchi here. He's strong at getting those home runs off of lefties. And Kikuchi, like I said, that last three starts for him has been not so great. And he's been able to get some run support from the Blue Jays. But I just look at this one with Blanco getting the start for the Houston Astros. And I do think he can come out strong. You look at him versus Toronto in his career. He's gone 1-0 with a 1.15 ERA versus the Toronto Blue Jays. And I do think we're going to get that strength out of Blanco against his lineup today of the Toronto Blue Jays. The Jays are one of those teams, Joe, you know it. Their bats are either hot or they're non-existent. And I wouldn't be shocked if this is a non-existent night for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, 8.5 is that total hovering around right now to the under. But Blanco, he was, I believe the Blue Jays were the no-hit recipient early this year with him, or he threw that, felt like the second game of the year, and he's out here no-hitting the Blue Jays. Probably should have told us and given us a clue as to what kind of season this Blue Jays team was going to have. But we do have another couple of games coming up here this hour, I believe, coming up the bottom of this hour. We're going to have the Giants and the Braves, and wow, Giants beat the Braves at Truist Park last night. Did not think that was going to happen. What happens in round 2 of this series?
Well, the Giants were able to pull it off last night, but I don't see it happening again with Jordan Hicks getting the start. He's another one of those pitchers that really does struggle to go deep into games. I'm taking him under 15.5 outs in this one. But that's kind of like a parlay piece. If you want to just like put a little bit on that, because it is juicy at minus 174. I threw it into a parlay actually with Kikuchi for under on his outs. And I forgot to mention as well, Carlos Rodon under on his 17.5 outs. I kind of just put the three of them in there, fading all three of these pitchers because I don't have faith in any of them. But I do have faith in Chris Sales coming out tonight for the Atlanta Braves. I think Chris Sales will come out nice and strong. He's been an absolute stud out there for the Atlanta Braves, and I don't see that changing versus the Giants lineup in this one tonight. He's 1-0 with a 1.93 ERA in 2 career starts versus the Giants. Overall in the season, his ERA is a 2.79. It's phenomenally strong out there, and I trust him here at home. He hasn't been giving up those runs, and I really do think he quiets the bats of the Giants in this one. The Braves are strong at home, 26-15 straight up. And when we look at when Chris Sale gets the start for them, they've been able to win all 10 of his starts by 2 or more runs. So I'm looking at the Atlanta Braves in this one, Joe, to cover that run line, laying 1.5 at plus 110. I'm a little weary why they're giving us plus 110, laying the 1.5. I thought this would have been a minus 120, laying the 1.5 still, but we're getting the value, and I don't see why we can't hit the Atlanta Braves to win this by at least 2 runs.
Ooh, all right. Braves getting back on track here. And I thought that last time Sale pitched, I think he threw away, was it 1-0? They ended up losing. I could not believe what was going on there. So hopefully the bats will get going for Atlanta here tonight. The Padres are going to need the bats to get going here again against Texas. Texas now back-to-back wins here. Finally, after losing, 6 or 7 in a row. They won that one against Baltimore. Now they won the first game of this series last night. What do we get here tonight?
I would love to say that I think the Texas Rangers can pull it off again, but with the inconsistency, Joe, of John Gray out there since returning from injury, I just don't know if we can get a strong start out of him here versus the San Diego Padres. I think the Padres can do enough in this one. Adam Mazur getting the start here for them. He's been lit up at home, but his road ERA is actually strong. It's a 2.79 road ERA. And I do think here in this matchup, he has the edge. It's not because I don't trust in John Gray. John Gray has to get back into the right form before I'm going to have faith in him. I was trying to look at him for betting his outs in this one because I do think we'll see him go a little bit deeper than we have seen, but I just can't get there with anything for John Gray. He needs to show me that he is back and he's back 100% before I can have faith in him. And the Texas Rangers with their inconsistencies as well, Joe, I can't take them to win another one here, even at home in this one. So it's a Padres for me with that plus money. I wish we were getting more value on it, but at plus 120, I'll still bite.
Yeah, and as long as this kid, Missouri, I mean, he's a rookie. It's, what is it? It's going to be a second or third start on the road here. He's got to not walk guys. If he can keep the ball in the park and not give anybody free passes, I think they'll be just fine at a pretty good price in that one here. We do have a update here and a couple of games as well. Still no score with the New York Mets and Washington. Still 1-0 White Sox over the Guardians. No score with the Cardinals and Pittsburgh. And the Marlins worked out of a first and third jam there in the top of the second inning. They are still up on the Red Sox 1-0. We'll go over some of the later games here tonight with Joe Madden when Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You went to Alberta and came back with a lot of different stories. I know that sports betting as a possibility, just like Ontario in 2022, we could see that.
The other big topic was Alberta, because sure enough, we've heard lots and we've talked about it on here that a law was passed to allow the market to open up. And we were kind of waiting to see what was going to happen.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading 150 to 5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds? Where do I sign? I love this cricket stuff. What are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network here as we're getting ready for a big 4th of July celebration, a big 4th of July Major League Baseball card as well. But we've got plenty of late night games here tonight we need to go over. Joe Madden stepping in once again, and we're going to try to make heads or tails of how Dallas Keuchel managed to look like a Major League pitcher last night and dash the hopes and dreams of anyone who thought they might score 20 runs in that game with the Rockies and the Brewers. So, I mean, kudos to the Brewers somehow figuring it out with Dallas Keuchel. But Ray taking on Hudson, I am willing to bet we're not going to have a 2-1 game for most of it here tonight. What are you thinking?
Yeah, this game definitely has to hit double digits. You look at the starting pitch-up, Colin Rea against Dakota Hudson, and I don't trust either of these pitchers to limit the opponents here. You look at Colin Rea, his ERA is a 4.54, and then Dakota Hudson coming out here 2-11 on the season, 5.84 ERA. He's been absolutely awful. One of those pitchers, he's stronger on the road. That home ERA is at 8.58, Joe. I can't trust him to limit the Brewers' bats. I expect the Brewers to get the majority of the runs, but we will see the Rockies get a couple of runs here on Rea. So I'm going to take the over 11.5. I think we've got, closer to 13 runs in this game. Wouldn't be shocked if the Brewers cover the run line as well. I think you can look at that, but I think the best bet, just take it to the over.
Yeah, it was such a crazy game. First of all, once again, Colorado lost another game when they were winning after the 8th inning. And they were nice enough, I believe, to actually hit Rhys Hoskins with the bases loaded. And that is how Milwaukee ended up winning that game last night. Keep this in mind, though. I believe that was the 26th come-from-behind win for the Brewers this year. That is something to keep in mind as we move on down the season. This is a team that is never really out of it here, Joe, and it certainly feels like there is plenty of opportunity against Hudson to score a whole lot of runs here tonight in this game and clear that run and a half. Could not believe the A's last night against the Angels. I mean, it wasn't even close last night. Do the Angels bounce back here? How do you approach this one?
I want to say yes, the Angels bounce back, but I don't think my gut feels the strongest about that. I'm looking at Joey Estes in this one coming out for the Oakland A's. I trust in him to be able to go over his outs in this one, Joe. His number is coming in at 17.5 outs to the over at plus 112. And I look at him and what he's been able to do at home. He goes deep at home. And even if the Angels are hitting off him, I expect the A's to leave him in this game. So give me Joey Estes to go into that 6th inning, go over the 17.5 outs with that plus money at plus 112. These are two teams that at the end of the day, Joe, I really don't like betting either one. With the Angels coming in here, they should be able to bounce back and get the win, but I won't be shocked if they don't. It's the Angels. I don't trust them enough to put my money on them in this matchup, Joe.
Yeah, it's two teams going nowhere in a hurry here, but certainly all of California. Now, who are we kidding? Nobody's watching that game. We are also going to be watching the Orioles taking on the Seattle Mariners last night. Stop me if you've heard this. Mariners had trouble scoring runs. Does that sound familiar, Joe? Are they going to have problems scoring runs and beating the Orioles finally here tonight? Gilbert on the mound versus Kremer for the Orioles in this one.
Yeah, we look at Dean Kremer coming out here, Joe, and my biggest concern with the Orioles and Dean Kremer is the amount of time he has had off coming back from injury in this game. And I do think he had struggles before that injury. And I'm looking for the Seattle Mariners to be able to get some runs on him, which is crazy to say because you said it. The Seattle Mariners, this team, it seems like they can't hit their way out of a paper bag. They're not getting their runners home. They're leaving them out on base. But I do have faith in Logan Gilbert, and that's where my faith is coming in at looking at the Seattle Mariners just to get this win straight up on that money line. I could see them winning this, though, in a low-scoring 2-1 game as they do leave the runners out there on base. They're not able to get everyone home, and they're just able to pull it off. But with Logan Gilbert coming out here, he's been phenomenally strong. He's been strong at home, and I expect him to continue that in this one. So he's really going to have to limit the bats here at the Baltimore Orioles. He's not going to get that run support that a lot of pitchers are able to get. But I do think he'll do enough. He'll go deep enough into this game that Seattle has the opportunity of getting the win, Joe.
Yeah, no. Well, listen, if Seattle's going to do anything, they got to figure out a way to get their golden boy Rodriguez going here, because he has been Julio Rodriguez has been terrible. I mean, 2 for his last 33. They got him batting 7th in the order, Joe. You can't win games if that kid is 7th in the lineup, man. Things are not going well. So hopefully they'll be able to figure that out sooner rather than later. And the Dodgers last night, close one. Boy, that was a good one there against the Diamondbacks. They're going to go round 2 here tonight. What are we going to get in this one?
Okay, so we've got Gavin Stone coming out here for the Dodgers. And before I forget, Joe, since you said it with Rodriguez, I'm going to look at Rodriguez for that home run tonight. Just because you brought it up, I think he has the ability. Rodriguez is so strong for the Seattle Mariners. He has to be the player. But back to this game here with Gavin Stone, I do think Gavin Stone is so strong here for the Dodgers. And we have a young player coming out here, I believe, Christian Mina, for the Diamondbacks, getting a start. Now, I do think the Dodgers, with how strong their bats are, with Ohtani, with Freeman in this lineup, that we're going to see them be able to hit him and the Diamondbacks hard in this game. I'm going to look at the Yurfie. I love the Yurfie in this one. It's minus 138. I'm putting a half a unit on that, but I'm also going to put the half unit on over 1.5 runs in the first inning. It's coming in at plus 198. So taking both of those for half unit, I expect this to be a high scoring game with those runs coming by the Dodgers, Joe.
I mean, crazy. This Stone has been ridiculous, and hopefully it'll continue. Joe Madden, thank you so very much. Have a happy 4th, and we'll be back. Game Time Decisions here on the Grid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You went to Alberta and came back with a lot of different stories. I know that sports betting as a possibility, just like Ontario in 2022, we could see that.
The other big topic was Alberta, because sure enough, we've heard lots, and we've talked about it on here, that a law was passed to allow the market to open up. And we were kind of waiting to see what was going to happen.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading like 150 to 5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds? Where do I sign? I love this cricket stuff. What are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you stopping by as we take a look at the scoreboard here right now in Major League Baseball. White Sox still up 1-0. Eric Fetty doing his thing, although the Guardians have a runner on second with nobody out here in the bottom of the third. Gavin Williams pitching for the Guardians, his first start this year off the IL. That would be really good news if the Guardians can keep him healthy. And so far, he looks pretty good. The Red Sox have tied up the Marlins now. We got 1-1 in that one, top of the third. 7 hits in this game combined through 2 and a third innings here. So hopefully this barrage of hits and runs will continue as we like the over in that one there. The Pirates and the Cardinals, in hindsight, probably wouldn't have been a bad look to the under as both of these teams are struggling. Mikolas going for the Cards, Jones going for the Pirates, and they are dishing it right now. We've got a Taylor bomb by the Mets. Has put them out in front in the bottom of the third over the Nats. 1-0 in that one. And wouldn't you know it, we got ourselves another Carlos Rodon meatball is what we've got there, as it looks like Marte just hit one, and they're still looking for it. 2-0 Reds over the Yankees. That is just upsetting on so many different levels. And by the way, this is a Marte that was hitting 150 on the season, and Rodon could not seem to keep him from hitting the ball out of Yankee Stadium. Hey, the Blue Jays just got one here, and it's 1-0 on top of the Astros. That's pretty much more hits and runs than they scored against him the last time they saw him when he threw a no-hitter there. So those are your baseball games getting underway. Oh, I'm sorry, one more too, by the way. The Giants and the Braves officially underway in that one. No score as they head to the bottom of the first inning. We've got plenty of Major League Baseball still coming up at the top of the hour. We'll dive into coming up the Phillies and the Cubs, not to mention the Padres, Rangers, the Tigers, and the Twins. And the Twins, once again, got terrible news here today. Just when you thought they turned a corner and that having Royce Lewis back in that lineup was phenomenal for them. And now he's back on the IL. We just learned either a groin or a hamstring. I mean, this guy, when healthy and in the lineup, makes this Twins team very good. And now he is going to be shelved. They put him on the IL, we learned this morning. So who knows what that's going to be all about. Festa going tonight for the Twins. Montero in a opener role going for the Tigers. And the Twins had really started to get it going, and that is just not great news for them in any way, shape, or form. The Rays and the Royals also coming up. My guy Waka is pitching tonight for the Royals, which means I need to bet him in the first 5. I'm looking forward to this game. But Tampa did it again. You notice Tampa won again. They have been, crazy enough, they have been way better on the road this year than they have been at home, and that's usually the opposite with them. They've had their bullpen struggles, but the bats and Azarena have come alive, and that is really the big difference with this Royals team, is his turnaround and his ability to be the table setter there up at the top of that lineup has really made a difference for the Rays here. Pepite on the mound for the Rays here tonight. I do think maybe an over might not be a bad look in this one as well, but I do like Waka in this spot early, as without a doubt he will limit the bats of the Rays. He pitched for the Rays a couple of years ago. He knows this organization and this lineup here, so I would expect him to be able to hold down the fort. Brewers, Rockies, expecting a lot of runs in that one. And then, of course, Angels, A's, Diamondbacks, Dodgers, and the late game with the Orioles and the Mariners. Gilbert on the mound for the Mariners there. That total is hovering around 7. That's kind of a low number here with Kremer and Gilbert on the mound with two teams that certainly can hit some home runs. It was 2-0 last night. Is that what we're going to get again here tonight? Another very low-scoring game in what is a terrible hitter's ballpark at T-Mobile Park. We'll talk some PGA Tour coming up next here. Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You went to Alberta and came back with a lot of different stories. I know that sports betting as a possibility, just like Ontario in 2022, we could see that.
The other big topic was Alberta, because sure enough, we've heard lots, and we've talked about it on here, that a law was passed to allow the market to open up. And we were kind of waiting to see what was going to happen.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading like 150 to 5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds. Where do I sign? I love this cricket stuff. What are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network as we're getting ready for a big 4th of July celebration around this country. We've got plenty of Major League Baseball, Wimbledon underway, and let's not forget about the PGA Tour as they get ready for the John Deere Classic. And no doubt, our good friend Brady Cannon, he ready to go back in the seat here. We missed you there, Brady, because I thought of you. For all the times this year that we have talked about Cam Davis and how he's been so close, and then he figures out a way to blow it. Well, I'd say Batia was nice enough for a 4-foot miss for par to give him that title. And I think he was 66, 65 to 1, somewhere in that ballpark pre-tournament there for the Rocket Mortgage. Are we going to get that kind of number in this week's John Deere Classic?
No, you know what? I thought Davis was, going to be primed and ready to try and go back to back. And, he ended up withdrawing from the John Deere Classic pretty early, I guess.
Yes.
To celebrate the victory there. I guess all he does is win at the Rocket Mortgage Classic 33% of the time. That's 2 out of 6 at this tournament. Yeah. How'd you like to have Akshay Bhatia last week? Oh, that was brutal. And I tell you what, even though I've been on a nice vacation on the road, Joe, it's been a little bit painful as I've had 2 straight runners up. I had Tom Kim, who lost in a playoff to Scotty Scheffler at the Travelers, and then I backed it up with Davis Thompson last week at the Rocket Mortgage, who, if he would have birdied 18, would have been in that playoff with Cam Davis. But I tell you what, I feel a little better about the near miss on Davis Thompson rather than having Akshay Bhatia. That was painful. That was very painful.
Oh, that was rough to watch there. But at least he should only play that tournament from here on out, Cam Davis. That's it. Just play the Rocket Mortgage Classic. You're going to be good to go. Don't play anything else here. We got a whole lot of guys, not a whole lot of crazy names here in this one, but it's not a signature event by any stretch. Is this a birdie fest, do you think, here? And how do we approach this one?
Yeah, it is, Joe. 3 weeks in a row of birdie fests on the PGA Tour, and then we get back to basics. Now, you might see some low scores next week, too, at the Scottish Open, but it will be a loaded field as everybody goes over across the pond to prepare for the British Open, the final major of the year. But, yeah, one more birdie fest here with the John Deere. This is a great tournament. This tournament is really well supported by the sponsor, the fans. It's been around for a long, long time. It's provided the first win for many PGA Tour stars. Jordan Spieth got his first win here at 19 years old. He's back in the field again, probably the most recognizable name in the field. I skipped him, though. I went to the favorite, Joe, and now that I got 4 selections this week. 3 of my selections are much deeper down the board and of the long shot nature for sure. But I did go to the top of the board with Soon J.M. at 16-1. Now he's down closer to 12-1. He's got all the tools, and he can drive it straight. He can hit the irons on approach. He can putt. He can make a bunch of birdies. He fits on all the correlated courses. I think the last couple of weeks, these birdie fests that we've seen in Detroit and in Cromwell, Connecticut at River Highlands, I think these courses actually match up. And I talked about Tom Kim being a hard luck loser, finishing second. Soon J.M. finished third in that same tournament a couple weeks ago. So, this guy has finished top 9 in 4 of his last 6 events. He is absolutely in form, and you throw him up against the rest of this field. I couldn't avoid it. And I thought 16-1. I don't think 12-1 is a bad number. I really like 16-1. And then I went further down the board after that. But we've done this a number of times, Joe. Rarely do I go to the top of the board with the chalk, but I'm going to this week.
Right. Yeah, a guy that's name who has kept coming up here this week is a guy that I think he almost finishes here. He's another one of these automatic top 5 guys. But Denny McCarthy, who, is maybe the best putter on tour, for whatever reason, loves this course. And he still doesn't have, I think, a PGA Tour win, but he certainly feels like another top 5, top 10 bet. He's always there in this tournament with this guy.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's probably a great top 10 bet. He's certainly one of the class players in this field. I don't know, it may be another week that the first PGA Tour win eludes him, but, he's a name that's easy to gravitate to with this field because, let's face it, there's a lot of unknowns in this field, especially if you're a casual golf bettor. And Denny McCarthy is relatively familiar. He's been right there in the thick of it in many tournaments, including losing to Akshay Bhatia earlier this year at the Valero Texas Open. So there's no doubt about it. I looked at him. He's been pretty popular, and I hate to be on popular guys. And Soon J.M. is pretty popular amongst recreational and sharp bettors. But there's only so many guys you can go to. Davis Thompson is a player that a lot of people are on. I was on him last week. I mentioned, and I was on Ben Griffin last week, who's a class player in this field. And you know how it is, Joe. Sometimes, I narrowly missed with Davis Thompson last week. And now it's kind of like the cat's out of the bag. Am I going to run to the window with him again this week? No, I almost had him timed right last week. I'm not going to take my chances again. And so I went a different direction.
I love that. What is the winning score here? What are we thinking here? Is it everyone thought 22, 23 under was going to win the Rocket Mortgage 18 because Sunday finally started playing like a real golf course. But what do you think the winning score is outright here in this one?
Yeah, you're exactly right. On Sunday at the Rocket Mortgage, the wind kicked up and it switched directions. So it made all those par 5s very difficult. The par 5s that they were taking advantage of for the first 3 days became very, very tough on Sunday. Well, I can tell you the last 7 times they have played the John Deere Classic, the average winning score has just been a hair under 22 under par. So that's kind of, what we've seen as of late, 22 under par. I can tell you that out here at the Superbook, our friend Jeff Sherman over there, he put up 20 and a half as the number. So he's kind of going against the average a little bit. There is a little bit of weather in the forecast. You know how it is in the Midwest. You could get some thunder showers and maybe a little wind and stuff like that. Thursday's conditions are supposed to be perfect. I wouldn't be surprised if they got past 20 and a half. I wouldn't be surprised with 21, 22. But, if you can find a bet out there for over 19 and a half, I'd probably take, over that. I mean, that would be a nice one because I think we'll get to 20 or more, Joe.
Yeah. I think that's very possible, especially if the weather holds up and cooperates. Who is the defending champ here? Isn't it, was it Poston or Sepp Straka? It was the last three guys have been.
Yeah, Poston was 22, I believe, and Sepp Straka was last year. And, I talk about this being a great tournament. I mean, this was the first career victory for Bryson DeChambeau, the first career victory for Jordan Spieth, the first career victory for Poston, and then last year, Sepp Straka. This produces some stars.
Yep.
The other guys I went down the board with, Joe, I know we're running out of time here. I landed on Adam Svensson at 50-1, Daniel Berger at 70-1, and then Joel Damon at 100-1. All of these guys really fit the ball striker mode, and they've had good success at the correlated courses. Joel Damon's been a runner-up here in 2018. Yep. Adam Svensson has never finished worse than 24th here. So they make sense for a lot of reasons. Berger, he's coming back from injury. He was one of the best players in the world not that long ago. If any one of these guys finds a hot putter this week, we're going to be in the mix.
I love that. Yeah, I hope he's finally healthy. Love him down in the South Florida area. Brady Cannon, as always, man, cash those tickets this week. Enjoy your fourth. Game Time Decisions returns after this.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You went to Alberta and came back with a lot of different stories. I know that sports betting as a possibility, just like Ontario in 2022, we could see that.
The other big topic was Alberta because sure enough, we've heard lots and we've talked about it on here that, a law was passed to allow the market to open up. And we were kind of waiting to see what was going to happen.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading like 150 to 5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds? Where do I sign? I love this cricket stuff. What are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network as we are off and running in Major League Baseball. A couple of games underway. A quick update. Red Sox now 2-1 over the Marlins. The White Sox 5-1 over the Guardians right now, heading to the bottom of the fourth. 3-0 Mets. They refuse to lose against the Nationals, and the Reds holding strong 2-0 over the Yankees as we welcome in Scotty Wetzel taking over here, coming up top of the hour, a little in-game live prime time for you here, Scotty. And, boys, should have known better. Fetty on the mound, just bet him first 5. The bullpen's going to come in, and this game's going to blow up in their face anyway. Which one of these early games did you like the most underway here, Scotty?
The Mets. I tell you, the Mets have bailed me out a couple of times, Joe. And you really, they all say you don't go to the well too often, right? But I've been on the Mets the last 2 nights, the Mets team total the last 2 nights, and both nights, right, look like losers until they go to extra innings. They score 6 runs 2 nights ago in extra innings for their team total to go over. They score 5 runs last night. So not only do they win the game, but the team total goes over, which you had no business doing, right? Maybe you win the game, but not the team total. But I went right back to the well. Why fight it, right? They have scored, Joe, 5 runs in 11 of their last 13 games. And on the surface, that might not seem like that big a deal, but believe you me, that's not easy to do, to score 5 runs that many times. This team's on fire. So they're 17, or check them, 14-3, 15-3 now. 15-3 their last 18 games. Don't make this stuff harder than it has to be. So I played the Mets, and they're out to a 3-0 lead again.
They called this kid Scott up, and he is dealing right now. So if it ain't broke, we ain't fixing it with the Mets, Scotty, is what it sounds like there. I'll tell you another team that seems to have turned it around is the Tampa Bay Rays. They won that game last night against Singer there in Kansas City. They got Waka tonight for the Royals. Pete for Tampa Bay. What are you looking at in this one?
Yeah, I'm going to buck the system here. Tampa, you're right. They turned things around. They've won 4 straight series, 9 of their last 12. But I'm going to take a little flyer. Kansas City's a real good home team. Not so much on the road, but at home, they're tough to beat. Waka's allowed 2 runs or less in his last 7 starts. So I'm thinking they're not going to lose 2 in a row. And I grabbed Kansas City. Basically, pick 'em odds. May have to lay something, but not much with Kansas City. So I do like Kansas City tonight to bounce back from last night's 5-1 loss and even a series at a game apiece.
Yeah, I love, Waka's going to keep him in there for the first 5 anyway. So I like the advantages that they have at home for sure with Kansas City. A lot closer than the Dodgers wanted last night. What are we doing here tonight with Stone on the mound in this one?
Well, I tell you what, you talk about Rookie of the Year candidates, and I'm not a big Rookie of the Year MVP type of guy. I don't really delve into those markets too much. I don't like having a bet on what other people are thinking. But this dude is 9-2, Joe. He is Gavin Stone, right? And most people are like, Gavin, who, what, where, when? The guy is 9-2. He's 5-0 his last 5 starts with an ERA of 1.62 since late May. They win all his starts, basically. So let's grab him. Laying a run and a half. I don't like they're laying the 2 and change. Who wants to do that, right? Arizona's looking to start a kid who's going to make his major league debut tonight as well. A guy they picked up from the White Sox. So no offense, but if you can't cut it with the White Sox these days, then chances are you're probably not that good. So to me, everything points to LA, and we're gonna have to lay the run and a half with Stone on the hill. But I like to play a lot.
We talked about this kid last time out when he first pitched, and I think I was trying to convince everyone to take his K-prop over, and that's the Daniel kid in with the Angels here taking on the A's tonight. And if you haven't watched him, I mean, what a opening game, right? His first game, Scott. I think he almost struck out double digits. He was phenomenal. I don't see any reason why he can't strike out 10 guys tonight against the A's either. What are you looking at?
Yeah, love this play, right? I mean, sometimes these numbers just don't make any sense. So Daniel Davis, again, or Davis Daniel, pick one, right? Who the fudge is he, Scott? Well, he's basically a rookie. He had 3 relief appearances last year, But you mentioned it, Joe. His first outing last week, he struck out 8 in 8 shutout innings, no less, against the Tigers.
Yep.
He struck out 9 last year in his 3 appearances in 12 innings. So they're giving us a number of 5.5 with this guy against Oakland, which is the number 1 strikeout team in all of baseball. 1 or 2, depending on what category you want to look at. But they're awful. How is he not, it's not like he's going to not pitch 3, 4, 5 innings, right? I mean, he's going at least 5 against the A's.
Yep.
So I don't know how he's not going to get to 6. This would be a real good guy. Again, I don't delve too much into the adjusted markets, a little bit, but, you want to go 6.5, maybe even 7.5 at monster odds. I think there's a real good chance he gets 8 again tonight.
Yeah, he's 27 years old, and he was dominating in the minor leagues. That number last week, Scotty, open one, it was 4.5, and I thought it was laughable. Right. Now it's just 5.5. It's even more laughable that he's not going to be able to dominate this A's team that strikes out more often than the Detroit Tigers did against righties. So makes no sense to me. No sense to me whatsoever. You got Seattle up there. Well, they can't hit. We know that. But at least Gilbert might be able to get a few along the way, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to go under him, too, just because, Joe, his number's a little too high at 6.5. He's only hit that 7 number 3 of his last 11 starts. So 3 and 8 to a loser. I'm sure he's going to pitch well. I'm sure he's going to shut him down. But that's I'm not going to bet on a guy that's only done something 3 times in 11 opportunities. So Orioles in the lower half of strikeouts, right 20th. So not near the top, not near the bottom, but lower half. So they don't strike out that much. Playing good ball. So a little hunch under 6.5 on Gilbert.
Yeah, we're talking. I mean, Julio Rodriguez in a 3 for 35 slump right now. I mean, they got him batting 7th. Like, how are they going to beat anybody if this kid is not? If this kid doesn't get it on track? And I'm not sure Baltimore's the team you want to do that. All right, Scotty, listen, enjoy the night, enjoy your holiday as well. In-game live primetime coming up at the top of the hour. We'll close it out next here on the Grid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to GameTime Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than GameTime Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into GameTime Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You went to Alberta and came back with a lot of different stories. I know that sports betting as a possibility, just like Ontario in 2022, we could see that.
The other big topic was Alberta, because sure enough, we've heard lots and we've talked about it on here that a law was passed to allow the market to open up. And we were kind of waiting to see what was going to happen.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading like 150 to 5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds? Where do I sign? I love this cricket stuff. What are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network as we get ready to close out this edition. Again, in-game live prime time. Scotty Wetzel, Dave Sharapan coming up here in just a couple of minutes as I continue. Every time I look over, I continue to watch the New York Mets hit home runs and score runs. And that is what's going on here right now. 5-0, another 2-run home run here. They are just beating up Parker of the Washington Nationals. So 5-0 in that one, top of the fifth there. We did all of a sudden get a bunch of runs here in the Pirates and the Cardinals game too. 2-1 now, Pirates in the bottom of the fifth as the bats finally started getting going there. And we told you about the White Sox earlier. My goodness, giving Fetty all sorts of run support right now. White Sox on top 5-1, top of the fifth in that one. And Boston remains on top of the Marlins. It's a 2-1 game right there. They are in the bottom of the fourth inning. The Yankees still trying to figure out where it all went wrong. They are down 2-0 here in the bottom of the third. A 2-run home run by Marte is really what the difference maker is there. One bad pitch by Rodon, which seems to happen a lot with him, and that's the difference in this game. 2-0 there. The Blue Jays out on top quickly against the Astros. They're up 1-0, and we still have no score in the Braves and the Giants game. Chris Sale taking on Hicks in that one there, and the Braves already have 3 hits in the bottom of the second inning. They still don't have a run. The one game of the night we didn't talk about here, but the Phillies taking on the Cubs. Zach Wheeler taking on Imanaga here tonight. The ace of the Cubs staff taking on the ace of the Phillies staff. Boy, the wind, I believe, blowing out again at Wrigley Field here tonight. But these two guys certainly should have the ability to keep the ball on the ground and in the ballpark there. Obviously, this is not the same potent Phillies lineup without Schwarber, without Harper. And the good news is they're hoping Remuto, Harper, and Schwarber will be back after the All-Star break, which would be good news. But in the meantime, it's going to be a struggle against especially some of the top pitchers of teams here because this lineup is quite honestly a shell of what it was. Now, both of these guys have had some bumps in the road over the last couple of starts recently, especially Wheeler. Wheeler is not great on the road. He's better than most, but that's where he is certainly beatable. And Imanaga has slowed down a little bit from that ridiculous start to the season. Still feels like a under to me. It feels like a first 5 under to me, and I think that's the way I'm going to look here. I'm going to count on both of these pitchers having the ability to shut down the lineups in this one, and I don't care how much the wind is blowing out at Wrigley. Both guys can keep the ball on the ground against these two very feeble lineups. And by the way, the Braves just scored a run to jump out on top 1-0 in that one. Mazur going for the Padres. John Gray going for the Rangers. I'm telling you now, I think the Texas Rangers have finally turned a corner here. I think that lineup finally figured it out. It started with that Sunday game against the Baltimore Orioles, and that they scored a bunch of runs in that one. The kid Langford hit for the cycle. First time ever in Sunday Night Baseball, a cycle was completed. They turned that over into an even better night last night against the Padres. Now the Padres are throwing, listen, they beat Cease last night. Now they're throwing their rookie pitcher who has given up in 9.5 innings here. He's given up 7 runs and he's walked 9. And that's a problem here. And now that the Rangers are starting to see it very well, I don't think so. They've won 5 in a row at home. And John Gray, yes, he's had a couple of bad outings, but I think he'll have no problem keeping the ball in the park and doing a better job against this Padres lineup. Don't trust Missouri. I think the Rangers win this game. I think the Rangers keep it rolling. And I think that's good news for the Texas Rangers backers. because I think that lineup is finally starting to live up to the hype. All right, that'll do it for us. In-game live prime time, just a couple of seconds away here. Scotty Wetzel take over with Dave Sherapan. They'll keep you posted on all of these games. Have a very safe and happy 4th of July, and we'll see you again on Friday on Game Time Decisions.